Okay, I think so I'll get started. Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this Teradata-sponsored session, where we will discuss Johnson & Johnson's bold plan and big results in migrating their enterprise data warehouse to cloud. You see two names on there versus one person here. So I will introduce myself first and explain why there's only one person. My name is Vidya Rao, and I lead product management at Teradata for our products and services portfolio offered on AWS. And Mr. Irfan Siddiqui wasn't able to travel, so he will be joining me via pre-recorded video. So in this session, we will talk a little bit about Teradata and what it offers via Vantage. We'll dive into Johnson & Johnson's journey to cloud, specifically from Irfan on why they chose AWS and the successes they had with Vantage, as well as the lessons learned. How many of you know Teradata and Vantage? Show of hands. Oh, it's not working? Okay, should I take that off? No. Okay, I think I'm loud enough, actually, that I don't need a mic, but we'll do this. So I didn't see many hands go up, very, very few in the audience. So that's great. Not great, I mean, it would be wonderful if all of you knew what Teradata Vantage is, but my goal is that you will know when you walk out from here. So who are we? Teradata harnesses the power of data to transform how businesses work and people live. We pioneered data warehousing 40 years ago. We are an analytics leader, we have been ever since, with much of the history optimizing our software for purpose-built hardware. However, now our focus is very much on software and the journey to cloud for all of you customers. We have been ranked as an industry leader by industry analysts like Gartner and Forrester. Teradata Vantage is noted in the Forrester report as a hybrid multi-cloud data platform that unifies data warehouses, data lakes, analytics, and new data sources. Gartner has stated that Teradata has over 40 years of innovation built into our products, including our flagship analytical engine, that's Vantage. An important remark that was made by an analyst was that Teradata has solved some of the toughest analytical challenges that other companies have yet to even encounter. This is proven by being a Gartner Magic Quadrant leader for 17 years. You will see our presence in the top 20 companies in many verticals. We have over 100 technology partners. You will see that we are financially strong and profitable. We are also a CSR leader. We have been on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index for over 11 years. And we are part of the S&P 400. In other words, we have scale, we are profitable, and we have invested heavily to provide a hybrid multi-cloud solution. Stating again, the Forrester report, which states customers like Teradata's Vantage hybrid cloud platform because it's reliable, it has advanced analytics, and there is ease of management from an infrastructure perspective. What's really important is that we love AWS. We have been and continue to invest millions in our solutions on AWS. Recently, we announced a strategic collaborative agreement with AWS. This emphasizes and proves our solid and strategic partnership. The goal of this partnership is to collaborate to design and create optimal solutions and experience for all of you, our Vantage customers. What this shows, we are invested in each other's success. We are partners not only in marketing and selling our solutions to our customers, but also in the development of our roadmap. This joint development will allow us to capitalize on cloud services from AWS. What does this mean for you, our customers? We get the ability to innovate at scale with AWS as our partner. So what this means for you is that we accelerate our ability to meet the demands of all of you customers, similar to how we did for Johnson & Johnson. In other words, we aim to serve and meet the needs of enterprise organizations throughout the world so they can move fast to meet their digital transformation imperatives. AWS provides the compute processing capability and storage to grow at massive scale, while Teradata's solution makes it easier for our customers to move and manage their data and run their workloads at growth scale. Our extensive expertise across every industry vertical has helped businesses around the world to build their futures with data. Our customers include the top 20 customers in top 20 telecommunications, financial services, manufacturing, healthcare, travel and transportation, as well as customers in life sciences, media and entertainment, as well as retail. We have customers like Verizon, Deutsche Telekom, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Johnson & Johnson, of course. In other words, we have over 92% of the Fortune 100 companies as our customers. So Teradata's customers are the who's who across nearly every industry. All of these firms are characterized by being extremely demanding users of analytics. Some of our joint customers with AWS are companies like SiriusXM, Groupon, Hertz, Bayer, Medibank, Gates, Brinker. In fact, you'll hear from Brinker on Wednesday talking about their successes with Vantage. So be sure to attend that session as well. So these are valuable joint customers between AWS and Teradata. And they have actively been using the Vantage solution to harness the power of data to solve their complex analytics problems and provide useful insights to their customers. What is Vantage? The analytics platform software that customers use to do all of this that I mentioned is called Teradata Vantage. And it integrates really well with the AWS services ecosystem. If any of you have worked with Teradata before, it was formerly known as Teradata Database. We have since combined SQL, machine learning, and graph analytics into one integrated software platform, which we call Vantage. Vantage on AWS customers can use the analytic tools and languages of their choice on all their data to yield the best possible outcomes. Vantage services various analytics use cases in many verticals, as you can see on the top, and serves various personas, as you can see on your right. Customers can choose to integrate with AWS services like SageMaker or QuickSight to gain insights from their data based on specific use cases. You may want to ingest data from disparate sources. You might want to use AWS data or ETL pipelines. You can do that as well. That works with Vantage. You may want to use your data stored in native object store like S3. You can use the analytical power of Vantage against this data. All you would have to do is set up a foreign table definition that maps to data that exists within that S3 bucket. We characterize Vantage as a modern cloud data analytics platform. What is that, you may ask? We have defined that to have 6 important attributes. 1, it's built for a hybrid multi-cloud world. What does that mean? Cloud options today are dynamic and ever-changing. So in today's hybrid multi-platform world, you need a solution that delivers the flexibility and portability to deploy anywhere, including different public cloud platforms or on-premises. You want to avoid lock-in to any single platform or architectural choice. You want to maintain the flexibility and portability that deployment in AWS might offer, while you may want to continue to maintain your existing on-prem systems. This attribute allows customers to do just that and plan their journey to cloud. The second attribute is the separation of compute and storage, and allowing for elastic scaling. This attribute supports the demands of both users and data, without excess capacity. And the elasticity enables the dynamic scaling of resources without IT intervention based on your use cases of the various personas that it's serving. The third attribute is the integration of first-party services. This accelerates the solution deployment and taps into the rapid pace of innovation from AWS. Vantage natively integrates with these services to accelerate your data analytics ecosystem solution deployment. Examples of this might be SageMaker, S3, Kinesis, et cetera. The fourth attribute is the ingestion of modern data sources. Vantage easily processes traditional data and newer semi-structured and unstructured data types. For example, JSON, Parquet, XML, et cetera. Data sources and types are constantly changing and multiplying. Think of things like clickstream, social media feeds, digital twins, or even IoT-based sensor data. You want to be able to harness all this information for a complete picture of the business, and this is just table stakes. The fifth attribute is integration of data management and scalable analytics. Vantage unifies these two, so it allows for data exploration, modeling, and scoring at scale in a single, easy-to-use environment. It provides automated data management functions, eliminating the need to perform detailed space management. The last attribute is dynamic resource allocation and workload management. Vantage optimizes which workloads get which resources according to your business priorities. That gives you the ability to satisfy a broad range of user groups, all tapping into the system at the same time. So this brings us to Johnson & Johnson, who saw AWS and its benefits as the obvious reasons to start their journey toward cloud. With all the stated advantages that Teradata's Vantage provides, it was the chosen solution for this journey. Now, to talk about Johnson & Johnson's path to AWS, their successes, as well as the lessons learned, it is my pleasure to present to you Irfan's pre-recorded video. I will need to just switch. Apologies for that. We had an issue with the pre-recorded video, so I'll just need the video people to switch over. Oh, it is. Should I go back? Oh, great. No, it's not connected to internet. That should be okay. Can you please switch over to the demo? Okay. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Vidya, for the introduction. My name is Irfan Siddiqui, and I'm a Senior Manager, Data Platforms at Johnson & Johnson. Today, it's my pleasure to speak to you about our journey to cloud and how Teradata and AWS have enabled that journey for us. Before I do that, I would like to take a few moments to talk about some background of Johnson & Johnson. So Johnson & Johnson is one of the world's largest and most broadly based healthcare companies. We are committed to using our reach and size for good. We believe good health is the foundation of vibrant lives, thriving communities, and forward progress. That's why for more than 135 years, we have aimed to keep people well at every age and every stage in life. With that, I further want to emphasize the role of technology in life sciences, which has never been greater in bringing transformational products and programs to meet with the ever growing healthcare needs. I would encourage you to attend one of the keynote sessions presented by our CTO, Ravina Yeo, who will be talking about our cloud journey at a much more broader perspective, including some of the SAP transformations that we have been able to achieve. So today, I'll be talking to you about our journey to cloud when we migrated Enterprise Data Warehouse platform, which is running on Teradata, to cloud. When we started that journey, we didn't had much of a real world examples to learn and get some advice on. So which is why we thought this session might help some of you who have been looking to take on that journey yourself, and this might provide some of the help or advice that you need to go take on and achieve your business goals. So with multiple business capabilities ranging from finance, supply chain, and pharma, our enterprise data warehouse platform has been a key component of our data fabric, supporting various business functionalities globally by providing reliable analytics platforms as well as a source of structured and harmonized view of enterprise data. So what was the driving force that led us to take on this journey? So what I can tell you is some of you who have been managing or who had managed Teradata systems on premises, they may relate how daunting of a task it is to set up a new Teradata system on premises or even do a capacity expansion to an existing one. Sometimes it takes months or years of planning and hard work. Of course, not to mention the high capital investment that needed to go in. So that was the real problem for us. How do we scale to a cloud-like dynamics and be able to match the flexibility and scalability that the businesses are needing for the future? So our aha moment came when we were shown a demo of how a Teradata system can be spun up within 30 minutes on AWS cloud. That's what started it all and has been a driving force for us for the next steps in our journey. With multiple business capabilities ranging from finance, pharma, and supply chain, our enterprise data warehouse system has been a key component for our data fabric and supporting various business functionalities globally by providing a reliable analytics platform as well as a source of structured and harmonized view of enterprise data. So a little bit about our problem statement. So we have three environments: development, QA, and production. The total data size was around 300 terabytes, with 50 plus applications using that data and 2,500 or so application users doing analytics on it 24 by 7. And with about 200 million plus queries executed on our production system just in a month. Hopefully, this should give you the size and magnitude of the system we're talking about. So we had few key requirements to move forward with that. Number one, that all the applications shall migrate at the same time. Even if one application is not able to move, we need to roll back. So it's all or none policy. Every application workload should be either similar performance or better performing once we migrate to cloud. And we need to make sure that the overall cost of the post-migration should be less than what we were incurring on premises. And finally, we need to ensure that we have the required flexibility and scalability to manage the system size and meet our peaks and off-peak requirements and make sure that we are matching the growing, changing business needs accordingly. So how did it all came about? It all started with making sure that we have alignment from all stakeholders and making sure that all the requirements are laid out and accepted. Secondly, we ensured that our network performance and the latency is sufficient to support our workload. And I can tell you it wasn't ready for us initially, but as we progressed through our journey, we were able to bring about certain changes to make it compatible to the workload that we were going to add on the on our J&J network and AWS connectivity. Thirdly, we need to make sure that we have a program manager that is driving all aspects of migration, not just starting from the POC, but also to the final check and go live decision. Another few things we need to keep in mind is how we are going to move that amount of data from on-premises to cloud. So we had few options from NPark to Data Mover to DSA Backup Restore and Amazon Snowball. So you need to pick the right option that works best in your case. In our case, we picked Data Mover and the DSA. So we backed up the whole system and restored that on premise, like on the cloud. And it took us about a week or so, and we did it 1 week prior to the actual cutover date. And during the cutover weekend, we used Data Mover to only send the change data objects. So that is how we were able to keep the downtime as low as possible. There are other options if you have more stringent requirements on the downtime that can be discussed. So how did it all come about? So all I can say that I'm still standing here, which means that it went on great. We were able to exceed our business requirements. For example, we had a storage savings of about 40% due to block level compression that was made available on cloud. We had about 60% of workload performance improvement that we saw all across the board, including Tableau workloads, Qlik workloads, Spotfire, and so on. We had ETL performance, our data load performance improved by at least 50%. So these are huge numbers. We were not expecting to get that sort of uh, gain out of this migration. Our bar was to at least get similar performance as people were experiencing on premises. This far exceeded anyone's expectations. So these are sort of surprises that we had where I think we did not factor that aspect in and eventually leading us to a lower cost option even than what we predicted. So the speed of deployment, the hybrid support, and the flexibility that we have experienced firsthand using Teradata Vantage and AWS Cloud has really given us the boost that we needed to continue this journey, not just completing this one, but also embark on new ones as more and more options got opened up for us just by being on cloud. Now I want to share with you some of the lessons learned. First and foremost, identify our stakeholders and their challenges. That is one of the key steps before you even start anything. We need complete and total partnership from all the stakeholders involved to make this journey a success. Start small with the POC. That will help you to at least highlight some of the foundational problems such as network bandwidth and latency to see how that can be resolved before you actually start doing the migration. Understand the latency needs in hybrid environments. So if you have workloads that will stay on premises while the warehouse might go in Amazon cloud, you need to make sure that the latency, network latency is compatible or is adequate enough to not adversely impact the application performance. Expect things to go wrong because they will go wrong. For example, like we had about 75 plus major issues reported during this migration, and 25 of them were like pre-existing. They were not related to the cloud migration, rather they were already issues which were not yet addressed. And then about 45 of them were cloud migration related. So we had to go through each one of them and make sure that those issues are resolved and the respective teams are signing it off from a performance standpoint before we could move to the next environment like QA and production. Engage strong program management and single point of progress tracking. That is very key. As you can see with any data warehouse environment or large environment, there are many different applications and teams who needed to be available at specific times and make sure they have resource availabilities and they put in effort to make this journey successful. And you need somebody who is playing that anchor role. Last but not the least, practice process including failure scenarios, right? So practice scenarios like what if my one of the nodes go down? What if like I need to do a backup or restore, right? So do those failover scenarios that you will normally need to encounter or may not encounter, but at least you need to be ready with. With this, we now have a greater flexibility, lower cost, and improved our security and compliance. We can better respond to our changing business needs. As a next step on our cloud transformation, we'll be focusing on ingestion of modern data sources. So capabilities such as NAS is going to be very critical in that. We will be looking at scalable analytics, like using Vantage Analytics library, bring your own model. Those are going to help us expand our machine learning and AI capabilities. And of course, multidimensional scalability to address various use cases. That's a very powerful tool that we have experienced that can solve many different types of workloads running on the system at the same time. So from queries to users to volumes, as demand against one vector increases, performance isn't lost in another. That's the key mantra for the multidimensional scale. Now, Teradata multidimensional scaling ensures that you do not have technology limitations. You can ask any question against any data at any time and without restrictions. Now, data and analytics have changing and dynamic business requirements. You don't know what questions are going to be asked and how many people will ask them or what data is going to be needed to answer them. With so many variables to play, the solution you choose can't be limited by technology. It needs to have those inherent capabilities to be able to address that. To empower users, you need to scale simultaneously in every direction across all 8 dimensions: data volume, schema sophistication, query complexity, mixed workload, query data volume, query concurrency, data latency, query response, and so on. So our transition to the cloud continues to be a journey, and we are seeing firsthand the benefits it is bringing along. For example, increased flexibility, scalability, and reduced cost. So one of the changes that you will notice by being on cloud is that it helps drive your capital investment down, rather switching it to more expensive.
Apologies for that. Don't know what happened there. Could we switch back? Because Irfan didn't finish his closing thought. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Vidya, for the introduction.
Sorry about
My name
that.
is Irfan Siddiqui, and I'm a Senior Manager, Data Platform in Johnson. Today, it's my pleasure to speak to you about our journey to cloud and how Teradata and AWS have been.
All right. I'm not going to switch back. Can we switch back? I apologize for that. I'm not able to figure out how to get back. Sorry. How to get back to exactly the point where Irfan stopped. And truly sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties with the pre-recorded video. However, hopefully you all got the gist of Johnson & Johnson's journey. I thank Irfan for providing us his feedback on their journey to cloud, as well as what successes they had and the challenges that they faced. We are happy and excited to continue to be Johnson & Johnson's partners on this journey, as well as ensure that any new capabilities that we have can be utilized to the best of their use cases and needs. I'm going to take a few minutes to step all of you back to the last slide that Irfan talked about, which was their path forward. This slide talks about a few of the capabilities that we have today in Vantage that Johnson & Johnson is yet to use, and some new capabilities that will come out down the line. If you are in supply chain or you manage a manufacturing facility or have shipping facilities, think of some of the cutting-edge technologies that you may potentially want to use or you're thinking of putting into play in the near future. Things like smart glasses with remote access capabilities or track and trace sensors powered by GPS. What are you going to do with this? So if you are a supply chain leader or a decision maker, you might want to use these technologies and the data that they generate to allow a more agile response to any events in your supply chain. You might want to run advanced analytics using mathematical models to enable you to understand what they can withstand and what could require some rejiggering, perhaps by shifting production to a different location or staggering shifts or even changing shipping methods. The recent supply chain issues would have definitely brought that into the forefront. You can also do risk simulation to keep better track of the need for your raw materials so that you don't have to over or under order, which obviously has very costly implications. What is important to know is that never has there been a time in our recent history where having access to the right data at the right time, at the tip of your fingertips, has never been more crucial. Teradata is here to help reduce friction by connecting users to the unprecedented amount of data generated and used by organizations every day. With Vantage native object store capabilities that Irfan mentioned, business users can now join relational and curated content that lies within the data warehouse with semi-curated structure, with semi-structured data that lands in the object store. You can do that in place with a single query. Or you might want to use Vantage streaming integrations that allow you to augment your customer data with real-time events to arrive at contextual insights that can drive new use cases as well as business outcomes. Now, what if you switch gears and think or put on the hat of a data scientist as a persona? What if you want to eliminate or minimize exporting data from your Vantage for the purpose of data analytics? How would your users, such as the data scientists, feel if they can explore, transform, create feature data, train models, and score or predict data concurrently where it resides, and using the language that they prefer, such as Python? Vantage analytics functions bring your own model, and Python and R scripts enabled through the Python and R libraries make all of these possible. Specifically, the breadth of data preparation and transformation capabilities offered through the Vantage Analytics library allows data scientists to do their work in place in an efficient manner. Thereafter, they have the option of training a model in Vantage or externally. And finally, to predict and score the data, the models can be easily brought to Vantage or executed and executed rapidly. These are all accomplished through SQL or non-SQL means like Python or R. And lastly, what is very important that Irfan mentioned is the multidimensional scalability that addresses various use cases. So reiterating what he said, when there are many variables in play, the solutions you choose cannot be limited by technology. To empower your users, you need to scale simultaneously in all the different directions that you see on screen. So basically, in order to orchestrate across any industry vertical, companies must have the agility and scalability within their data analytics platform to ask cross-functional business questions, which are not limited by technology. As Irfan mentioned, users should not be constrained on what questions to ask or only have access to pre-built reports. They should be able to ask questions that deliver answers to the root cause analysis of any issue. They should be able to do this against any data, not be limited to the amount or type of data or the level of detailed data that they have access to. They should be able to drill down and understand why specific things are happening, not just what happened at the aggregate level. They should be able to do this at any time. Users should not be limited to they should not be limited to wait to ask questions until a certain time of day or when certain data is loaded. And lastly, every user should have access to the data. They should not be constrained by technology or skill set. Business users should not have to really depend on a data scientist to enable them to get answers. All your users should be able to ask any questions at any time against any data. So hopefully the value proposition for Teradata in AWS is clear. We offer the fastest path with the quickest time to value, especially for existing customers, because it's consistent software as customers have on-prem, with no application code changes. But also for new logos, we offer the least risk with minimal disruption to your organization, because you can start small and grow quickly. What is really important is that we are a field-proven company, proven code. So in other words, that does offer the least amount of risk to you on your journey to cloud. This consistent software everywhere is what enabled Johnson & Johnson to streamline their migration. We offer the best analytics because you can tap into all your data anywhere, and your team can use their existing tools and skills. And last but not the least, we offer flexible pricing that includes blended and consumption so that you can fit what best fits your needs. A hybrid multi-cloud world demands more. More freedom, more choice, more agility. And your data analytics platform software should too. That's why Vantage delivers the power and flexibility modern businesses need, with more control, less risk, and no lock-ins. We provide the lowest cost at enterprise scale. It has been my distinct pleasure to present Johnson & Johnson's cloud migration journey and dive deep into Teradata's Vantage solution. Of course, apologies for all the technical shenanigans that you all had to face. However, you can go to teradata.com/AWS to get more information, especially regarding some of the products that Irfan mentioned, Data Mover, DSA. If you want to learn more about these products, please visit us online. You can also reach out to Irfan or me at these email addresses. We do have about 5 minutes. If there are any questions, I can take them. Of course, I cannot see, but okay. So I guess there are no questions. I do thank you all for attending this session, and I request that you fill the online session survey. I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of the day here at re:Invent and a successful session, a successful whole week at re:Invent. Thank you, everybody.